Ray and Marcus, both 35 years old, both started their first real job in the exact same year, same city, same starting salary, same economy, same opportunities on paper. 10 years later, Ray has a net worth of $538,000. Marcus has $24,000. That's a $514,000 gap. And here's the strange part. The gap wasn't created by a better job. It wasn't created by stock-picking genius. It wasn't created by a secret inheritance. And it wasn't even created by a dramatically higher income. So what created it? Because if two people start in almost the exact same place and end up $500,000 apart, something important happened in the middle. Now, before you assume Marcus is terrible with money, he isn't. Marcus makes good money. He pays his bills on time. He has never missed a payment. He files his taxes. He contributes to retirement accounts when he remembers. He genuinely believes he's doing everything right. And that's exactly what makes his story dangerous. Because if you met Ray and Marcus at a party, you would probably assume Marcus was winning. Marcus drives the nicer car. Marcus lives in the nicer apartment. Marcus takes the nicer vacations. Marcus looks successful. Ray looks normal. You'd be wrong. According to Federal Reserve data, the median net worth for Americans aged 30 to 34 is roughly $88,000. The top 10%? Roughly $538,000. That isn't a small advantage. That isn't a lucky break. That's a completely different financial reality. Most people assume this gap comes from hundreds of smart decisions. It doesn't. The evidence suggests it comes from a handful of structural decisions, repeated quietly, for years. And that's the mistake Marcus made. He spent enormous energy optimizing tiny decisions, skipping coffees, clipping coupons, canceling subscriptions. Meanwhile, Ray was fighting a completely different war. Most people focus on daily decisions. Wealthy people focus on systems. Today we're breaking down the 5 structural moves that separate the Rays from the Marcuses, the $538,000 group from the $88,000 group. And the first one happens before Ray even wakes up on payday. Move 1. Ray automates the sequence. Marcus follows the most common financial pattern in America. Earn, spend, save whatever survives. The problem is that whatever survives usually doesn't. Not because Marcus is irresponsible, because life is expensive. Unexpected expenses happen. Vacations happen. Birthdays happen. Cars break. Humans spend what is available. Marcus is human. So are you. Ray understands something Marcus doesn't. The biggest enemy of investing isn't ignorance. It's accessibility. The money is easiest to spend the moment you can see it. So Ray removes himself from the decision. The investment happens automatically. Before checking. Before temptation. Before lifestyle. Before excuses. And the math behind this is ruthless. Someone who starts investing seriously in their early 30s can end up with roughly double the retirement balance of someone who waits until their 40s. Not because they're smarter, not because they're luckier, because they gave compounding 10 extra years to work. Compound interest doesn't reward good intentions. It rewards early action. Move 1 captures time. But capturing time isn't enough. You also have to stop giving it away. Move 2. Ray protects the gap. This is where Marcus begins to fall behind. Not because he doesn't make enough money, because every raise immediately finds a destination. Raise, new apartment. Raise, new car. Raise, more subscriptions. Raise, more lifestyle. Economists call this lifestyle inflation. But what makes it dangerous isn't the spending. It's what the spending destroys. The gap. The distance between what you earn and what you spend. Because that gap is where wealth lives. Ray treats raises differently. Every increase in income gets divided before lifestyle ever sees it. Part goes to investments. Part goes to future assets. Only then does lifestyle get a vote. The result is simple. Ray's income rises, but his expenses rise slower. And over time, that difference compounds into hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's be honest. This move feels terrible in real life. Ray drives the older car. He stays in the smaller apartment. He wears the less impressive watch. He often looks less successful than Marcus, even though he's becoming dramatically wealthier. And here's the irony. The people who look wealthy often sacrifice becoming wealthy. The fastest way to stay middle class is to spend every raise proving you've left it. And that invisible sacrifice is funding the next move. The move that creates some of the largest wealth gaps in America. Move 3. Ray buys the asset, not the appearance. Here's one of the most revealing wealth statistics you'll ever hear. The average homeowner has a net worth measured in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, The average renter's net worth is dramatically lower. That isn't a gap. That's a completely different game. Now, before anyone starts typing comments, this is not a lecture about buying a house tomorrow. Housing affordability is a real problem. Millions of people are priced out of the market, Marcus included. And that's not a personal failure. It's a market reality. But that's not the point. The point is ownership, because ownership changes everything. Most people think the stock market creates wealth, and for some people, it absolutely does. But for millions of families, their largest investment was never a stock. It was the house they quietly kept making payments on for 20 years. Every month, another payment. Every month, another piece of ownership. Every month, another step away from renting their future. That's the hidden power. The asset keeps working, even when motivation disappears, even when life gets busy, even when discipline fades. The system keeps moving, and the broader lesson is simple. You must own something that appreciates. A business, a portfolio, real estate, equity, something. Because renting can solve a housing problem, but ownership solves a wealth problem. And that's where the real separation begins. Because once assets start growing, they start doing something remarkable. They begin working harder than you do. Here's the part Marcus would never admit out loud. At 35, he makes more money than he ever imagined making at 25. He has the nicer apartment, the nicer car, the nicer vacations, the nicer lifestyle. Everything he thought success would look like. And yet, he feels less financially secure than he expected to feel. Because deep down, Marcus knows something isn't adding up. Every raise made him richer on paper, but not freer. Every upgrade improved his lifestyle, but increased his dependence. Every new expense quietly demanded another paycheck. Marcus has more income than ever before, but less margin for error than he expected. And that's the trap. Because wealth was never supposed to be measured by what your income can buy. Wealth was supposed to be measured by what your income no longer has to buy. And that's exactly why Move 4 matters. Move 4. Ray removes the single point of failure. Marcus built his entire financial life around one income source, one boss, one company, one paycheck, one economic cycle, one point of failure. And that works perfectly until it doesn't. Because here's what should actually scare you. If Marcus loses that one job, the apartment goes with it, the car goes with it, the vacations go with it, the lifestyle goes with it. Everything depends on that single paycheck continuing forever. That's not financial security. That's financial concentration risk. Ray never allowed one paycheck to hold that much power. Research on self-made millionaires has found a recurring pattern. Many developed multiple income streams long before they reached major wealth milestones. Not because they were obsessed with hustle culture, not because they wanted to work 80 hours a week, because they were reducing risk. A second income source changes the math. Dividend income, rental income, freelancing, consulting, digital products, a small side business. The specific source matters less than the principal, because once one paycheck is no longer carrying your entire life, you gain flexibility. And flexibility is one of the most valuable assets money can buy. Marcus has income, Ray has options. And over time, options become freedom. Which brings us to the final move. The move that determines whether the first four are actually working. Move 5. Ray tracks reality, not income, not job titles, not bonuses, not promotions. Net worth. Because income creates the illusion of progress. Net worth reveals whether progress is actually happening. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Marcus checks his bank account every week. He knows exactly how much his paycheck is. He knows exactly how much his bonus was. He knows exactly what his car payment is. But for most of the last decade, he never calculated his actual net worth. He never measured the score. So he assumed he was winning. A person earning $200,000 per year can quietly be falling behind. A person earning $70,000 can quietly be building wealth. The difference is invisible if you're only watching income. But the moment you build a balance sheet, the illusion disappears. Ray understands something simple. Income is how hard you work. Net worth is how effectively your money works. One measures effort, the other measures results. And if you never track results, you have no idea whether the system is actually working. You just assume it is. Marcus assumed it for 10 years. Ray measured it every month. And 10 years later, the scoreboard reflected that difference. So what actually created the $514,000 gap between Ray and Marcus? Was it intelligence? No. Was it luck? Not really. Was it a better degree? A better employer? A better stock portfolio? No. The gap was created by 5 structural decisions, quiet decisions, boring decisions, decisions that rarely look impressive in the moment. Automating the sequence, protecting the gap, buying assets, removing single points of failure, tracking reality. Nothing about those decisions feels exciting. Nobody posts them on social media. Nobody gets compliments for them. Nobody notices them. And that's exactly why they work. Because wealth is rarely built in public. It's usually built in private, quietly, slowly, almost invisibly, while everyone else is focused on things that barely move the needle. Marcus spent 10 years optimizing expenses. Ray spent 10 years optimizing systems. Marcus focused on transactions. Ray focused on structure. Marcus kept asking, how can I spend less? Ray kept asking, how can I build something that requires less effort from me in the future? And that difference compounded, month after month, year after year, until a $500,000 gap appeared. Not overnight, not through one big decision, through thousands of small outcomes generated by a handful of systems. Rich people don't have better calculators. They have better systems. Here's the mistake most people make. They assume wealth is visible. They assume they can identify the wealthy person by looking at them. The nicer car, the bigger house, the designer clothes, the luxury vacations. But wealth and spending are not the same thing. In fact, they often move in opposite directions. Marcus looks wealthier. Ray actually is wealthier. Marcus spent years purchasing evidence that he was successful. Ray spent years purchasing ownership. Marcus bought appearances. Ray bought options. Marcus bought status. Ray bought flexibility. Marcus bought things. Ray bought time. And time is the one asset nobody can manufacture more of, which is why the wealthiest people in the room are often the ones nobody notices. Because real wealth doesn't need to announce itself. Real wealth doesn't need validation. Real wealth quietly creates choices. The choice to leave a bad job. The choice to start a business. The choice to spend more time with family. The choice to say no. And the ability to say no is one of the most expensive luxuries on earth. Society teaches you to obsess over income. Get the promotion, get the raise, get the bigger paycheck, and income matters. It matters a lot. But income alone was never the goal. Income is only the fuel. The real question is what that fuel is attached to. Because an engine attached to assets creates freedom. An engine attached to obligations creates dependence. Marcus and Ray both had engines. The difference was where they pointed them. Most people believe wealth is built through discipline, but that's only partially true. The deeper truth is this: wealth is not built through discipline. Wealth is built through systems that require less discipline. Ray didn't wake up every day and make perfect decisions. He built systems that made good decisions easier. Then he let those systems run for 10 years. And the systems did what systems do. They compounded. 10 years from now, the gap will exist either way. Someone will spend the next decade building assets. Someone will spend the next decade building obligations. Someone will buy freedom. Someone will buy appearances. Someone will increase their options. Someone will increase their expenses. And the difference between them may be another $514,000 or more. The future version of you is already being built right now by the systems you choose or the systems you ignore. Because the people who build wealth aren't usually making dramatically better daily decisions. They're making dramatically better structural decisions, then allowing time to do the heavy lifting. A high salary might impress your neighbors. A high net worth gives you options. It gives you leverage. It gives you flexibility. It gives you freedom. And eventually, it makes you invisible to your boss. Because the ultimate sign of wealth isn't what you can buy. It's what you can walk away from. Income is the price somebody pays for your time. Net worth is the amount of time you've successfully bought back. You now know exactly what separated Ray from Marcus. The real question is, which one are you becoming? If this breakdown changed the way you think about money, subscribe. Every week, we break down the systems, psychology, and hidden mechanics behind wealth. And next time, we're looking at the one habit Ray started at 25 that Marcus ignored until it was almost too late.